Welcome to the Brave Evolution podcast. I'm your host, Chantel Hampton, and this is your weekly boost of empowerment. Love, an intense feeling of deep affection, the object of attachment, devotion, or admiration, unselfish, loyal, and benevolent concern for the good of another. The Brave Evolution is all about you being brave enough to dig deep, face the fears, face the ugly, face the horrible cards you were dealt, and allowing the beautiful jewels inside of you to take root and to grow. This week, I wanted to talk to you about the art of being love. Not being in love, but actually being love. Valentine's Day just took place yesterday, and that's supposed to be the day of love, or expressing that love for another. And it's a time where people are supposed to feel admired. They're supposed to feel desired. People look forward to that attention and that affection. And then for some, they hate the day. They kind of go throughout the day not caring because they don't have a significant other, or they just hate it. They know that it's a consumer holiday. But I wanted to talk to you just in the midst of the pandemic and everything that I've seen over the past year or so now. Our world really, really does need love. It's really the only thing that can heal, that can bring hope, and that can bring us together. And so it's important for us to take the love that we were birthed with and allow it to grow and cultivate it. And that takes bravery, that takes courage. I served as a worship leader from the age of about 14 to around 30 years old in several churches in Boston. And as a worship leader, as many of us know, part of our role is to lead the songs before the sermon happens. But we're supposed to get people together and get them worshiping and praising God. Many times I found it hard, especially when I started off when I was younger, to get people engaged, especially during the winter time. It was cold, people were tired. Sometimes people were angry after a long week of work, coming in on a Sunday morning. Sometimes we would have services at around 7:30, 8 a.m. And people coming in on a Sunday morning, they didn't really want to sing. They didn't want to be pumped up and hyped up. And that used to discourage me because I was young and I was learning, and I was really self-conscious and insecure. And struggling with, well, what do the people want? How do I engage people? How do I do this? And my father pulled me aside one Sunday. He was typically at every church, he was the musical director or the minister of music. And he pulled me aside and he said, "You have to do this from a place of love." He said, when you get up there, I want you to look at the people. Look at them, see who they are, see what they could be going through, whether or not you know their situation, but think about the person, think about the people and what it is that they need. Think about what it is that you have that you want to share with them. And it really made me think, because one of the things that I loved was my relationship with God and how I could talk to God so freely. And I wanted people to feel God's love the way I felt Him. And so I told that to my father, and he said, "That's what you give. That's the place you come from. Let the love of God and the love you feel from God shine through you and pretty much hug them. That's how you'll connect." From that moment on, it took some practice, but from that moment on, it changed my perspective. It was no longer about how good I sounded. It was no longer about giving the right cues. It was no longer about the duty or the task. It was about me being the light of God and being the love of God and shining through at that moment, so that those people, no matter where they came from, they could feel God's love. One of the last churches I was at in Boston was a mixed congregation, a Spanish and English congregation by the name of Congregation Lion of Judah. And at that church, we had an English service, and we lived, the church was housed in, what do they call it? South Boston, I guess, near downtown. But it's a district where there are a lot of homeless people. So literally homeless people would walk in off of the street with their shopping carts, with their bags and everything, and come into the service. And it was a warm place that they could come into and sit down and pray, get prayed for, and all of that. And I think at this point, to see that, like literally every Sunday, to see a group of homeless people come into the church and sit down and literally be in tears, come up to the front of the altar and just lay down and weep as we sang and prayed and played music over them. It was probably the most amazing experience, because again, we got to be the love of God for those people. And I'll never forget one of the ladies, she had actually gotten up and told her testimony, and she said, I feel the love of God every single time you guys sing. And she was like, I can honestly say I have never experienced it like this before. But it was because of these moments every Sunday, I had the courage and the strength to keep living and to keep pushing. And do you know what? She was able to find a place to live. She was no longer homeless. All that stuff. Her life began to change and turn around simply because of that love. And so if anything I can encourage you on today is to think truly about what it is that you want the world around you to look like. What do you want it to be? What do you believe it can be? And how can you be the change? What is it about people that you love? What is it about your neighborhood that you love? What is it about your job that you love? There might be some things that you hate, but what is it about it that you love? And I want you to pull that out of you. Pull that love out of you every single day and be determined to give that love out. That love that you have for it every single day out. The frequency of love is 528 hertz. And as a musician, I love frequency and I love sound, and I pay close attention to it because I believe everything on earth that has energy, we talk about vibes and that's a vibe or whatever. So everything on earth and on this planet has a frequency and it has a vibration, it has a wave. Love's wave is at 528 hertz. And in science and in meditation and just research, they're finding that frequency, as it vibrates, it's a tone that you can play, and as it vibrates, it brings healing. It's a healing frequency, and it lifts the frequency of the room. It lifts the frequency of everything around it. It begins to bring everything up to a higher consciousness. So if you can grasp what it is that you love and no longer complain about what it is that you hate or don't like, or don't do this, or I can't stand this, and why is there trash on the ground? Stop talking about the things that you hate and begin to talk about the things that you love, and how beautiful today is, how beautiful this street can be, how beautiful it is when we come together and I smile at this person, how beautiful it is, because that alone can start to lift the frequency of your surroundings and completely change the atmosphere. But being that love and allowing yourself to ring at that frequency, it takes courage and it takes bravery, because there's so much negativity, there's so much hatred going on, and sometimes we get so caught up in it between social media, between just the hustle and bustle of work and everything. We get caught up in the negativity and we lower our vibe and we have lowered our frequency. But in each of us, there's been a seed planted of love, that agape, unconditional, God-like love that's been planted in us. That as we allow ourselves to push past the noise, dig deep, find that seed and water it through our, I love this. I love the way the sky looks when I wake up. You know what? Okay, it's dirty, but I love this street. Our ability to communicate the love that we have for everything around us, everyone around us, despite their idiosyncrasies, the things that drive us crazy, the more we're able to express it and the more we're able to let that love rise up in us, we will see a difference. I guarantee it. One of my favorite scriptures, it's 1 John. It's in 1 John. It says, perfect love casts out all fear. And 9 times out of 10, the stuff that's driving our world crazy is fear. It's fear, it's fear, it's fear. So fear is on the opposite spectrum of the love frequency. Fear is a very, very low vibration. So we got to move from fear and move into perfect love. I keep hearing this song as I'm talking to you all, and I'm just going to sing a snippet of it. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. I love that song, but what the world really needs is our love. Everyone needs our love right now. So if you can remember that, we're golden. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was an empowering session and encouraging to you. If you did like it and you'd like to see more, don't forget to like and subscribe, and leave a comment if you will. And if there's anything you would like for me to share, please let me know. Be brave this week. Be brave and be the love that's within. God bless.